Yo, what's good? It's Mastermind MMA, and you are tuned in to another episode of Combat Culture. Don't know what episode it is offhand. I'm gonna guess, go off a limb, say it's episode 19? I don't know, son. But it doesn't even matter anyway. We're gonna get right into the shits, talk about UFC 230, the goods, the bads, the ugly. We're gonna talk about DJ, Ben Askren, the trade, the fact that they're targeting Robbie Lawler versus Ben Askren now. I did a video where I talked about tension versus Floyd. That's probably up already. Flight's canceled. So I talk about my thoughts, everything on that in that video. Go check it out. Now, boom, boom, boom. Let's get right into this shit, son. Israel Ada motherfucking Sanya. The truth, the future of the division. He is a feature star, son. Bro, every time he comes up, man, he passes the test with flying colors, man. He passes the test in the way the greats pass the test. So that's big on him, man. I've been big on Izzy for a while. I've known him since his kickboxing days, but I wasn't like totally engulfed in like, oh, like this guy needs to come in, da 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 da. There's a lot of kickboxers that are super fucking dope that you don't know if how well they'll translate into MMA because of the takedown defense. Raymond Daniels is fucking one of them, man. Raymond Daniels is a beast. Nikki Holskin is a monster. Rico Verhoeven, dude, just a fucking Badr Hari, just so many fucking dope kickboxers. And Joe Schilling is a good example. Marvin Manhoef is a good example of the people that come in from kickboxing, but just, dude, grapplers and wrestlers give them problems. So when Izzy came in, he had a good showing, had a lot of hype behind him, did his thing. Went in against Vettori, did his thing. And then he had his fight against Brad Tavares, which is, all right, this is going to answer all the questions if this kid is what we think he is, because if wrestling can negate this kickboxer, this is going to be what shows it. This is going to be what makes him go back and be like, all right, you're a kickboxer in MMA, not a dope MMA fighter. Pass that shit with flying fucking colors. And they're like, all right, you're doing good. All right, now we're stepping you up. We're going to give you Derek Brunson. And after the fight, I was talking to, after the Brad Tavares fight, the next day, I was talking to Jacare. I was like, yo, I'd actually like to see Izzy versus Derek Brunson. I think that'd be a good matchup for him. And that's what happened. That's what they did. And another one, it's going to put you through the same problems, give you another big test at a higher level. And dude, pass that shit with flying fucking colors. He is a contender at this point. He's at that point where he could get a title shot at any moment. And I'm saying that, like, not that he deserves a title shot, but look at Darren Till. After that Thompson fight, he was a contender. Colby was up next. Shit with Colby didn't work out. Who got that title shot? Izzy's easily in that position now. And they know they could give him big step-ups in competition. He's been rising to the occasion. And it's... Dude, he just has such an understanding of striking and of footwork and movements, and he's got his wrestling down now, his takedown defense, and you saw when he hurt Derek and the way he just picked him apart. I'm sure a lot of people have seen his highlights by now, but dude, all of his knockouts, he's just like so selective and makes the right. He's like, I wouldn't be surprised if he knows like pressure point shit to take you out. You know what I mean? Like, that's just kind of like how sharp and technical he is. And man, he is a striker at the highest level, and he's just been rounding out so well. His whole game's just been rounding out so well. Now you have like a surge of fresh blood in the division. And man, I'm excited to see Izzy do big things. I definitely see him wearing a strap. Pause. I definitely see him getting the belt. I really think that Israel Adesanya is going to be a future UFC champion. I'm definitely putting. I'd put my money on that. And I'm not even saying that he won't have any slip-ups or any blemishes. I don't think he will, but at this game, at this level, you never know. Anything can happen. The thing is, though, if he does come across any blemishes or anything, I don't see it being anything bigger than a hiccup. But I don't see it really happening, but it could, especially at this level. Which brings me to talk about my guy, Chris Weidman, man. Dude, I don't know, man. When you know a fighter, man, like when you know the fighter, it's just like a different thing. You know what I mean? Like when Uriah Hall fights, it's different. When T Wood fights, it's different. When Chris fights, it's different. You know, because I just know how nice of a fucking guy Chris is. And it's like, it's almost like I kind of wish, like, I kind of wish, like, I don't know, man, that, like, I don't know how to say what I'm saying, but Chris was one of the first people that, like, when I was watching, before I even knew him, that I was like, yo, I really fuck with this guy. I'm a big fan of this guy. And when he lost to Luke at 194, my night was fucked. My night was fucked. My other day was fucked. The next day after that, when he got knocked out by Yoel Romero, my night was fucked. You know what I mean? My night was fucked after that. The Gegard Mousasi thing, that was like one of those things, like one of those Eddie Dustin things. What can you do? That didn't really, like, that was more of like a technical thing than anything. So, but dude, for Chris to come in looking so fucking good and looking so sharp and be winning that entire fucking fight pretty much, at least in my eyes, and I'm biased. I'm saying it right now. I'm biased, and I had him up, 2-0 and going into the third round, and I had him winning that third round up until he wasn't winning. It's like not even up until he wasn't winning, up until he lost. He was winning up until he lost, and that's like the wildest shit. That's the crazy shit about this game, man. And props to Jacare. Jacare did his thing, man. What a fucking fight, dude. What a fucking war. Yeah, but I honestly, man, like, once you get over the fact that it sucks the way that Chris is losing, and it sucks that he's on a losing streak, but I think at the end of the day, man, this is one of those things where, looking at it individually, his stock goes up. When I say looking at it individually, I'm not saying looking at, like, his past 5 fights or whatever. Looking at this fight alone, it's one of those wars where your stock goes up. The stock, I'm going GSP, and I ate too much and I threw up and I can't make weight, but my stock is up. So I think Chris's stock went up, but it's still kind of tainted because of, like, the whole losing streak. But dude, at the end of the day, he looked great. He looked amazing. He looked world class, dude. He's doing that with Jacare, man. He was fucking winning the OL fight till he wasn't. He is one of the best middleweights, and it's just one of those fucking things that there's just too many fucking variables in this game when people are that good at such a high level with so, like, a matrix of variables. Anything can happen, and it just so happened that it's not coming out on the good right side. It fucking sucks, but people are saying, I want to see Chris go up to light heavyweight. I'm not mad at that. I'm not fucking mad at that, but I'm not trying to see that, to be quite honest with you. There's not really much going on at light heavyweight until you get to the top. And once you get to the top, that shit is like, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, you got DC, Gus, John. Glover kind of fell off, but you got high level guys, especially like at the top of that shit. So yeah, you could do good. Now the thing is, bro, if you're going up, you're gonna go up to get a fresh start. Go for that belt. You gotta beat John Jones to get the fucking belt. Or if John Jones isn't champion, then it's most likely gonna be Gustafsson who beat John to get the championship. And then you gotta fight fucking Gus that just beat John Jones. You know what I mean? So not only that, I'm not saying he's not competitive. I'm not saying he'd win that fight. I'm not saying he'd lose those fights. But you are doing really well with the top of the division. And another thing, man, you got to keep in mind, this was a short notice camp to fight Jacare. Not short notice camp. It was a short notice opponent change. Luke pulled out like 2 weeks before. So they give you Jacare, a totally different opponent, different things to look out for. And Chris adjusted super fucking well, man. Maybe if they had more time to study tape, study Jacare, they would have picked up on that tendency. Or if they picked up on that tendency, they would have had more time to drill it and, really prepare for your opponent, dude. This is where, I know people are like, anytime, anywhere, any place. I'm talking about like the fans. You should fight anyone, any one time, any place. Da 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 da. This fight fell out. You should take it. Da da da. As a fan, I get that. As a fan, I fucking get that because you want to see good fights. But as a fighter, man, as a fucking fighter, too much, man. Too many is too high level. It's high. It's way too high risk. Too minute of a margin of error for error to just be taking those risks you can, and it works out times. But I'm not saying I would have been tight if he didn't take the fight. You know what I mean? I'm not saying anything about it, but it's just like, fuck, man. It's the fight game. It's the fight game. You get caught, you move on. If anything, man. Excuse me. If anything, I think that I think that this shows Chris is right still up there with the elites of the middleweight, man. And he still could be a contender, you know what I mean? One fight to get him back on track. One big win. He's back in there. You know what I mean? Because like Luke Rockhold is kind of in that same position, you know what I mean? At middleweight, you could get like they have such like like the cream is so thick at the top. It's that, if you lose one, it's whatever. But you could always be right there to get that title. Yoel, son. Yoel lost to Bobby Nux. And, you didn't know what was going to happen. And then Luke is supposed to fight for a title. Bobby Nux gets out. Yoel's right in there. Boom. He wins that shit. He would have had an interim belt if he didn't miss weight. But wins that shit. Goes on, gets a title fight. Does fucking really well on that shit. His stock is high. Bobby Nux got the decision. I had Bobby Knuckles winning. A lot of people had Yoel winning. I could so clearly see that as well. I won't argue tooth and nail about that shit. It could go either way. Even if you lean more to Yoel, I agree with you. You know what I mean? It's just at the time when I watched it in real time, I was just kind of I scored it for Bobby Nux at the time. So even Luke got knocked out by Bisping, and then he got worked by David Branch, and then he found himself in title shot. Just because that's how the things shake out. Middleweight, Jacare would be up for a title shot if he wasn't in the position that he is, which is he lost to both the people fighting for the title. But at another whatever way you look at it, he didn't lose to anybody twice. So fuck it, you lost to someone, rematch. So I can see Jacare being up next for title contention. I think he should be, because Chris was up for it next. He beat Chris. Granted, Jacare lost to Kelvin, which is, I think it was a split decision. I had Kelvin clearly winning that fight, but I think it was a split decision. And, you know, that fight with Robert Whittaker and Jacare, that's essentially what sent Bobby Nux off into this title run. So that was a start where you're like, oh shit, Robert Whittaker is no fucking joke. Jacare probably didn't even know that at the time. So, you know, you could give him kind of that little leeway. You know Robert was a beast, but you didn't know he was the monster that he is. So you could give him that. Hey, Jacare lost to Yoel Romero too. You know what I mean? So when you lose to the people on the top, when you lose to a Luke, a Yoel, a Jacare, a Chris, doesn't really affect you. Because, dude, Kelvin lost to Chris. Kelvin lost the fight to Chris. Now he's fighting for a title. I mean, Kelvin's been putting in work and shit. I'm not taking anything away from him. But I'm just saying, those losses at this middleweight division, it's so tough, so stacked. It doesn't really... And the thing is, those are kind of really the only cards you have to shuffle. Now you got Izzy in the mix. You might have Darren Till in the mix. Get, like, pumped up with fresh blood, young blood. But at this point, you kind of only just reshuffling, like, 6 cards. So it doesn't matter how those duos are playing out. You could always reshuffle and just keep matching them up. I'd like to see Chris stay at middleweight. I'd like to see Chris be the 2-time UFC middleweight champion. His skill set isn't that far from it. His skill set is championship caliber. Everyone at that top 5 is championship caliber. That's the thing, dude. Any one of them could be UFC world champion at any given day, except for Luke Rockhold. I feel like Luke kind of fell out of that. I feel like he was. I feel like Luke was that guy that was like in there, you know, in that deck of the 5 cards. But I feel like Luke is kind of falling off into like the lower tier, but you don't really see it that much because he's injured so often. So I see Luke going up to 205 kind of are just like coming like, exiting the game soon and just transitioning to other stuff. But yeah, man. Hey, I would like to see that Chris Weidman Luke Rockhold rematch, you know, the one we were supposed to get. So maybe that's a good fight. You know what I mean? If, bro, you do Luke versus Chris, whoever wins that maybe fights the loser of the title fight, or Jacare for a title limiter. I don't know. But hey, man, like, it doesn't hurt. I would love to see Souza Weidman too. I would love to see Romero Weidman too. I would love to see Gaslam Weidman too. I'd love to see Rockhold Weidman too. I'd love to see Whittaker versus Weidman. You know, so, and especially that Chris didn't look old. Chris didn't look out of it. Chris didn't look like, dude, he needs to hang it up. He just got caught and he did his fucking thing. Shout out Chris. Shout out Matt Serra. Shout out Ray Longo. Shout out Law MMA, Sarah BJJ, all that, man. And respect. The stoppage. All right. I have 2 perspectives on this. As an educated fan of the sport and as a fan of Chris Weidman. I'll start as an educated fan of the sport. As an educated fan of the sport, he should have stepped in. As soon as Chris hit the canvas, he should have stepped in. There's different kinds of drops, like when you get dropped, when you get sat down. There's a bunch of different kinds of them. The most safest one, I guess, is when you fall back, when you're not like, oh, in crazy danger. You could kind of more consider it a flash. That knockdown is when they get hit, they get tagged, and then they fall on their ass with their hands down supporting them. You know, when they fall on their butt and then they like have their hands down, like when Dom dropped Uriah at 199, like that kind of drop. Then you have kind of your level 2 more dangerous drop, which is I would say more like when Cody dropped Dom. You know, when Dom kind of the knees gave out and then he kind of like laid back. That's a little more serious, but Dom recovered quick. So you know, that's not Dom's recovery from that severity of a knockdown was incredible. But like that's like the second tier. Now the third tier of a knockdown, and pretty much the last tier before you're getting just straight up starched is how Chris got dropped. His legs went out. His eyes were, I don't know if they rolled back, but they were blank. He didn't know anything, what the fuck was going on. He didn't know what, he wasn't there. Chris wasn't there. And him going for the leg, dude, that was straight muscle memory. That's him being a warrior. That's him being a fucking, a killer and having heart and no quit. But that's just Chris being literally just such a raw warrior that he was able to do that. That he wasn't there. He was out. He was out, dude. It was over. A good representation, a good parallel to that was when Eddie Alvarez knocked Justin Gaethje out. He hit him with that knee, and then immediately Justin Gaethje was still on his leg, went in on the leg. Dude. The other side of things, as a Chris Weidman fan, I wanted Chris every opportunity given to him. I wanted Chris to just get every opportunity he could to stay in there and fight. And it was late in the round. Fight was almost over. It was a fight he was winning. I'm not mad at it as a Chris Weidman fan. So I see both sides of the coin, but overall, I have to lean on the educated MMA side because you have to care about the fighter safety first. And as the educated MMA fan side, that should be purely what the ref is looking for. You know what I mean? He shouldn't be really looking to, oh, this guy was winning, round's almost over, let me give him kind of a chance. It's due to safety. He's done. It was done. Great fucking fight. The main event. I'm not gonna spend long on this at all, man. It's exactly what we all thought would happen. Just hope it didn't go down like that. You know, it's one of those things where you never know because it is the fight game, and especially with Derek, how he came off of his last fight. But at the end of the day, man, Cormier's proven, man. You're going to need way more than crazy knockout power to get rid of him. He's too good for that. He's too skilled for that. And the thing is, he doesn't give a fuck what the fans think. He doesn't care if you're going to boo him. He doesn't care if people are going to hate him. He doesn't care if that's going to be essentially a boring performance. He's going to go in there, do what he needs to do to win, and cash his checks. At the end of the day, I can't, from a fighter standpoint, I have Olympic caliber wrestling. I could just negate this guy, be safe, not really get hit, and just take him out, make a shit ton of cash, and just like be straight. As a fan, as Mastermind MMA, fuck that shit, son. Fuck that shit. That low key, that straight up fucked my night, son. Coming off of Chris to that? Are you kidding me? Coming off of my guy getting starched, to having DC doing exactly what I thought DC would do in a non-exciting way, that's just like, shit. It's almost like I wish Izzy was the main event and DC opened up the card so you could kind of get that lacklusterness away and then end on that Izzy note, like that. Oh shit, son, we got fire in this division. Instead, you're like, oh Izzy, oh shit, oh Chris Jacare, what a fight, and then anticlimactic. The fact that it was a good card, but it just led to be anticlimactic, kind of sucks. But at the end of the day, man, I'm not gonna fault DC at all. I'm not gonna blame DC at all because he showed us this is who he is. He showed us. I can't be mad. I can't expect anything more out of him than that. But Derek, it's just I can't even hate on Derek either because that shit is like drowning, man. That shit's hard to deal with. That shit's irritating. It's annoying. If we as fans are getting so irritated by that style, just imagine how it'd be to be the guy being held down. So I can't do or say anything or fault Derek in any way. But I don't even think this hurts his stock. I mean, he gets a good payday. It just kind of doesn't even really suck for him that bad. You know what I mean? He didn't get fucked up or anything. He just, I mean, there's a blueprint definitely put out. You know, like now it's like he's gonna have problems with a guy like Curtis Blades. So, you know, he's gonna have problems with just wrestlers. And you know, if he gets a matchup with Stipe could do what he did to Ngannou, and you know, and DC kind of like solidified that game plan, like how Khabib did for Barboza. Like Khabib really solidified and systematically created a game plan to dismantling and beating the shit out of Barboza, and Kevin Lee took that and followed that shit to a T. So I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, if in the future Derrick Lewis finds himself fighting Curtis Blades, and Curtis Blades follows that shit to a motherfucking T. So, or Stipe follows that shit to a T. You know, you never know. So I just think that it doesn't hurt him. Besides, like the fact that kind of DC set up a game plan, which we knew would be the one to do, but he really set up more of a film study way of being able to formulate a game plan, and you know, real technical step by step emulating a game plan kind of shit. So I think that's the only thing that really hurts him. But besides that, man, I don't think anything. And besides the lacklusterness doesn't even hurt him, because he came off of Ngannou fight Lewis and went straight into Volkov. So the lacklusterness doesn't hurt him. And yeah, I don't know if we'll see Black Beast be UFC champion. It depends on the matchup and who, you know. It depends on a lot of shit. But I don't know if we'll see him wearing a strap. But as long as he's getting paid, I think that's really like the only thing he gives a fuck about. Yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about UFC 230. Ben Askren and DJ, dude, first trade in UFC MMA history, man. That shit happened quick. Ariel broke the news that it's being reported, it's being talked about, and before you know it, the shit was a done deal. And DJ's in ONE FC, Ben Askren's in the UFC. Ben Askren has a lot of, I don't want to say hype, but a lot of questions because he's so dominant outside of the UFC. It's one of those things that makes you wonder, you know, kind of like Michael Chandler. Give me 1 second. I may or may not have had to take a call. It has to do about getting some marijuana. I'm kidding, or I'm not. You never know. Anyway, Michael Chandler is a joke. It's not. Entertainment purposes. Doesn't matter. So Michael Chandler is one of those people that you never know. You never know, like, what he could do in the UFC. You know, Eddie Alvarez was one of those guys. He came in, he won the belt. Eddie Alvarez has hardware from every promotion he's been in. Shit's wild. So yeah, now you get that. Now you get that with Ben Askren. You get to get those questions answered. It's not one of those things where you're never ever gonna find out, which we thought it was gonna be. Is it worth it? The trade, I think, is worth it. Because DJ, I mean, don't get me wrong, man. Like I fuck with DJ's skill set. I think he's talented. I think he's a great champion, or was a great champion. Has a cool reign, all that. I just don't think he's pound for pound. I never thought he was pound for pound. I know his skill set doesn't translate weight classes. It's been proven. Although he's improved a lot since he fought Dom, I don't see that shit going much differently. We saw what TJ did to John Lineker. TJ, if he wanted to, he could just hold and just like basically lie on DJ for 25 minutes if he wanted. Or I think TJ would probably win the exchanges in striking. So I don't think you can be pound for pound number one if you can't beat the champion in the weight class above you. And he never really looked to make it happen. You know, it seemed like he didn't really want that fight because he knew what would happen. And if he was going to take that risk, he needed to be compensated extremely handsomely. So, I don't know, dog. Like, fuck, son. Like, what you doing? And, I mean, it worked out well for him, you know? He's over at his coach's promotion, basically. And he's going to get paid well. It's going to make his money. At the end of the day, he's not, like, famous from the UFC. So he's pretty much... And, you know, he really set his... If you're going to argue DJ being the GOAT, he already put in the work for the legacy to make that argument. So anything else... It's not really, unless he like reclaims the title to do with that, it's not gonna add that much to it. But he could hurt it as well. But at this point, man, it's just you have your legacy in the UFC. You did your thing. You had a great, incredible run, and now you could just cash out, do your thing. You couldn't cash out here, so they're letting you go and to a place where you could, you know. So that's dope with the UFC for doing that for him. Because they could just be like, nah, fuck that. You're under contract with us. You get paid what we pay you. Yada, yada, yada. Ben Askren is fighting Robbie Lawler. That's what they're targeting, at least, for early 2019. Now, Robbie Lawler, man, he's a motherfucker. We all know. Ruthless. Ben Askren, that's the question. They're throwing him to the wolves off the rip. We paid a handsome price for you, that being DJ. And whatever we're paying you in your contract. So we want to see if we got our money's worth early. We want to see. Because this would be Ben Askren's Khabib Barboza moment. If he fights, what's his face? Robbie Lawler. Because if Ben Askren could go put a beat down on him, you know he's fucking legit. If he does that to Robbie Lawler, he could probably do that to the majority of welterweights. But I have a source. I have a source that may or may not have trained with Ben Askren, and the source may or may not have told me that Ben Askren got worked in the gym. That Ben Askren was light work in the gym. Now, it's a gym, not a competitive setting, it is a competitive setting, but you know what I mean? Not a real life implication competitive setting. And he said he got worked, son. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when he comes in. I'm not gonna I'll see. I'll take it as it goes. You know, I'm not going to be like, oh, she's the next American Khabib. We'll see. We'll see what happens. The Jones-Gus press conference was dope. They pushed each other. That was about it. Fuck. I don't even know, man. I think that's about it, bro. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. Yeah. Yeah, if I think about anything, I'll do more videos. And yeah, you already know. It's Mastermind MMA.